Zi Ovi Vois.
Hello, listening creatures. Welcome. Today, I want to speak a bit about some free online resources that one can use to start learning a language for free by herself, himself. Okay? And because so many people asked, actually, no one asked, I'm going to show you how to do this. For today, I'm going to use Spanish. Although I'm quite familiar with the language, I don't speak it fluently. My native language is Romanian. But I'm going to show you, for example, if you would like to start learning Spanish, how you could do this for free just by using the web. Okay, now the first resource, check it out, Wikipedia. You're going to say, yeah, that's not very cool, but hear me out, okay? If I'm going to write just Spanish language, and now we're going to go to the specific page, we have an introduction. What we are interested on this page would be phonology. Also, there is an article called Spanish Phonology. We can use this also, but let's skip that for now. You're going to say, yeah, but I don't want to speak Spanish perfectly with a perfect accent. Doesn't matter, because if you want to speak a language, you need to know the sounds. You need to know how to make the sounds. Maybe you wouldn't do it perfectly like a native speaker, but you need to be as close as you can. Why? Because that's what a language is. We often use the expression, do you speak something? We don't just say, can you read, without actually pronouncing the words. No, we never ask that. So language is a string of words that we do with our mouths, and sometimes we annoy our cats if we have them. So just bear with me, and you don't need to remember anything, any, so to say, technical terms, but just try to follow and see what I'm going to explain now. I'm not going to ponder too much on this subject, but this is a great resource for you to be able to learn the sounds of virtually any language. I mean, any language. Most of the languages that usually people are interested in. And what we see here, this little table right here, I'm going to just make a little pop-up with my control button. Here are the vowels. So they're plainly simple. A, E, I, O, U. Okay. What you can do in this regard, if you're a native English speaker, or you know English, as I assume you do, because otherwise you wouldn't be listening to this rambling of mine. You can go, let me just duplicate this. You can go to the English phonology, okay? And I'm gonna just use here English phonology. And you can compare, because that's a way to actually learn, okay? You can compare. We have vowels. What vowels does English have? Does English have? Yeah. Well, basically, there are many as compared to Spanish. Okay, depending if you speak RP, which is received pronunciation, or General American, you have A, R, O, I, E, and so on. While Spanish has just 5 big vowels. So a way of learning this is to just compare the sounds and mapping them. If you see this, where the E sound is, it's supposed to be your upper lip. So this is like the mouth over here, where my cursor lies. And then the O sounds are back vowels, meaning this would be almost close to your throat. Okay, so what you can do is just look the same thing for English or for another language that you're familiar to, or for your mother language, and try to see how these sounds map to your own language. Now, these symbols here, although they look very familiar, they're just letters. They might not really map to the Latin alphabet, because the phonetic alphabet is a bit different. It has many letters, so to say, because it's supposed to have one letter per sound. I mean, actually it doesn't, but that would be one of the main goals, to have a very accurate representation of the sound. Now, let's go to the consonants. What do we see here? We see sounds that we're going to have in English, like M, like B, F, okay? The P isn't aspirated, like in English, as when I say computer, or in an American accent, computer, P. You can hear a lot of air coming out. But in Spanish, this is pronounced like in the word spit or spot or whatever. I don't know. Sports. Okay? It is not aspirated. Also, the T isn't a T. It's a D. The D is D. And then you have th for Castilian Spanish mainly, like in cerveza. And then you have the S, which usually in Castilian Spanish is retracted, but it's not really important mainly. And ña, like in... so you can see that if I hover my mouse over it, my mouse cursor, you're going to see a description. We can go to the sound. And here on Wikipedia, you have lots of help. You're going to hear the sound here.
Nya, anya.
Okay. So this is a very important thing to hear. Also, you're going to have occurrences, which actually show you a bunch of other languages that use kind of the same sound. So if you don't know cerveza, you don't know how to pronounce that in Spanish, you can just go to English and you can find the appropriate sound for if you don't know how to say niño and you end up saying nino or something, you can just see that it's the same thing as in canyon. Okay, so this would be one example. Why do we need to learn these? You don't really need to learn them, but you're gonna end up actually knowing these symbols, and not only the symbols but what they actually represent, because the amount of sounds a human being can produce is quite limited. So after you cover some languages, if you enjoy learning many languages, you're gonna notice that you are able to actually just switch something in your brain and go to the next mapping, because you're gonna try and say a particular word or sentence in the most native way possible that you can. Okay, so this would be the first resource. It's free, it's out there, Wikipedia. Just look for phonology or languages. Our next thing would be, let me just close this tab, would be Wictionary. What is Wictionary? Well, to be honest, I don't know if it's in the same company or platform as Wikipedia. It appears it is. But what will we search for here would be Swedish Lists. What is a Swedish list? Is basically a list of words in of every language, in very many languages, about 200, I believe. And what will we do here is to not really memorize these words, but get to know a bit the language, especially if you're just starting learning this language. You're gonna need to just make an acquaintance. Let me go to Spanish. So we got Indo-European languages, And then we're gonna go to, okay, Germanic, Frisian. Did I miss the Romance? Polish, nope. I don't need that now. Okay. Spanish. So this would be the Swedish list for Spanish. And guess what? We have how many words? 207. These are supposed to be the most common words in the language. Okay, and they are the same for every language apparently. The most basic vocab. Sometimes it's kind of boring because you're gonna have words like, I don't know, like prepositions or adverbs or something like that. But you can get an acquaintance. You can just try and see what's what, and if you can find like similarities or cognates. The cognates are just words that basically have the same root in the in the European languages. For example, you're gonna have some words that basically come from the same root in Proto-Indo-European. Okay, yo, tú, vos, usted, él, ella, nosotros, nosotras, vosotros, vosotras, ustedes, ellos, ellas. Yeah, you can just try and see these words. Now, a question might come, what if I don't know how to pronounce this language? I mean, we read about phonology, but that doesn't mean I can just read now, right? Of course, that's very true. So you can just copy-paste some of these and go, guess what, to Google Translate. So let's say I copied nosotros. Okay, this is from Spanish. It means us. And I just want to use, basically I want to pronounce this word.
Nosotros.
Nosotros. Okay, I can listen to it. Sometimes some people, or maybe everyone, would need a visual input, like basically text, okay? So for that, you're going to do something else, which I'm going to show you now. You can do this. Go to Google and search, in our case, Spanish, text to IPA. IPA being the alphabet that we just looked a bit over in the Wikipedia, okay? Spanish pronunciation tool. Let's see what's this about. Okay, and I'm gonna write something in Spanish. Oh, I don't know. What to say. Yeah, I'm gonna just leave it at that. I don't have the ñ. And we have hoy estoy aprendiendo. But they didn't do everything. Sometimes you're gonna need to pay for a lot of text here on these websites. Just be careful not to stress yourself. You don't need to do this very much, but it's a great tool. And then if you need to have this pronounced, this website actually offers this apparently. Oh, it doesn't. Anyway, when you have something written in IPA, you can just go to another tool. Let me just show you. One little moment. You can go to IPA Reader. Here I'm gonna choose some Spanish. Where is the Spanish? Conchita, Castilian Spanish. Let's write something in IPA. Now, if you want to write something in IPA and you don't have any tool, let me just duplicate this. If you're gonna need a tool to write in IPA, let me tell you, you can read this. Lexilogos. This is a website. Apparently now it's in French. Let me just switch to English. Language dictionaries, but what we need here would be Multilingual Keyboard and IPA. Okay, so now I can write Hoy estoy Wait, I need to write an IP. Sorry. Hoy estoy aprendiendo español. Let's see if it works.
Hoy estoy aprendiendo español.
Cool. So, hoy estoy aprendiendo español. What you can do here is just tweak the speed, or you can actually download this as an MP3. Another way in which you can learn how to pronounce stuff in foreign languages is just use Google Translate. And we said this. Let me just correct this.
Hoy estoy aprendiendo español.
Okay, this didn't work. But yeah, so hoy estoy aprendiendo español.
Hoy estoy aprendiendo español.
Okay, what you could do now, in order to have some files for you, okay, you can just install, if you don't have it, or if you don't have another software for recording, you can go to this pretty website here. It's called Ninite or Ninite. I don't know exactly how to pronounce this. And here you have a lot of free software that you can install without any ads or bulky extra things. And on this website, you're gonna choose Audacity. This is a very simple and free audio editor. I already have it installed, of course. And I'm gonna try and record this short sentence from Google Translate. Let me just tweak this here. Record.
Hoy estoy aprendiendo español.
Wow, so much level. Let me just cut this out.
Hoy estoy aprendiendo español.
Beautiful. You can save the file, of course, and you can maybe tweak the speed if it's too fast. You can do lots of things. Let's go to the next thing. So we talked about words. Now let's go to phrases, because this is the basics of communication. Another component of this platform like Wiki would be Wikitravel. On Wikitravel, you can find Phrasebooks. Don't worry, I'm going to put all these links in the description below, so you just need to be aware of them, so to say, and just click on them. Phrasebooks for basically almost any language. Let me just try and reach to Spanish here. Spanish phrasebook. You have an introduction, then you have a pronunciation guide. Of course, as we said, pronunciation is important. I'm not saying you'll be, I don't know, you won't be understood if you don't have a 100% perfect accent, but you need to do your best and to be aware of the differences between, for example, your native language or other languages that you might speak and the language that you want to start learning. Okay, vowels, consonants, accent and stress, basics. And I can just start learning some of these phrases. Now, one thing, for those that aren't familiar, there's this little trick that you can use in order to try and learn a piece of something and try and say it fluently. If for those of you that are familiar with Pimsleur, this is a exclusively audio resource that you can buy out there, and they just do audio recordings, and for each phrase they do this trick. I'm going to show you now, right real quick. Que pase un buen día. Okay, so this would be one of those, and you can do something like this. Día, día, buen día, día, buen día, un buen día. So in isolation would be un buen día, but because it's connected somehow, it would be un buen día. So the N becomes an M, okay? Pase, pase, pase un buen día. Que pase un buen día, okay? Que pase un buen día. This is a trick to start from the end of the sentence and slowly add syllables to the construction. Why? It's simple. Because if you do this, you're gonna have a pretty strong grasp on the final, which is the place where most people struggle with. It's just logic. You're gonna know the beginning because you practice that the most, but then you're gonna mess up the final stuff. So whenever you're gonna do this, when you just take the sentence at its value and try to say it fluently, when you begin it, you already know the ending. Okay, so basically Phrasebook. You can just go through the through the Phrasebook and try to use it as best as you can. And then you have another tool or resource online. This is a website called Omniglot.com. Omniglot is basically all the three that I mentioned before in one place. They have pronunciation and phonetics. They have tables with basically using the IPA tools and also other romanization or transliteration methods. They have phrasebooks. They have a quick history of each language and some recordings. Also, for every language, you're gonna have some links sending you to further materials, which is kind of cool. So let's go to Spanish. Spanish. Yeah, I'm just gonna do Control F, Spanish. Spanish, Español, Castellano. Okay, you have the introduction, then you have the aforementioned table, also using the IPA, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, okay. You have some recordings of the alphabet, the explanations, how to pronounce, then you have the other varieties, and at the end we have some sample videos with some other links. Of course, we're going to have Wikipedia among them. Information about Spanish, useful phrases, silly phrases, idioms, etc. It's a really cool resource that you can use. It's free and it's pretty thorough. Okay, speaking of pronunciation. If you're still not sure what to do with a language that maybe is not as phonemic as Spanish, phonemic meaning most of you, what you see is basically how you're going to read it. Some languages, for example, French or Danish or, of course, English, wouldn't have this advantage. If you end up in some of these situations, you can just go back to Google, okay, and search for text to speech. So not text to IPA because you don't want to read. You're gonna look for text to speech, and this is basically why the same function that I demonstrated earlier with Google Translate, but most of these other platforms or websites are more professional, and for some of them maybe you need to pay a subscription, of course, but you're gonna still have some sample availability, some maybe short text you're gonna be able to run through them. I'm not going to go through them because there are so many and I don't really know which is best for Spanish. But I'm going to leave you to discover this by yourself. So, just to sum up, Wikipedia for phonology. Then you go to Wictionary, okay, to look upon the Swedish List, which isn't too long, 207 words. Then Phrasebooks on Wikitravel. If you don't like the environment on Wiki and stuff, you can just use Omniglot, as I showed you. This other website, Lexilogos, you can use it to just type IPA if you don't already have an input method for it. Or you can actually type your target language because they have many languages here. Okay, the other resource would be Google Translate and this little friend that I mentioned from utilities, media. Okay, so Audacity. You can use Audacity to record stuff or record yourself and give it to some native speakers if you have some acquaintances or friends, and they could check it out. But basically, I would record just stuff from Google Translate or from another text-to-speech platform online. And then after I record that, I could try and use the same method as in the phrasebook, start from the end, and work your way syllable by syllable up until you actually are able to say a phrase or a group of sentences in one breath, meaning fluently. Okay, great. So this is it for today. I hope it helps. Maybe I'm gonna do another video trying to use another language which I'm less familiar with. And see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.